There's no denying that peacocks are gorgeous. Their iridescent feathers shimmer and shine, catching the light and transforming the way they look depending on how the sun hits their back. And those aren't just pretty details. The colors themselves are key to attracting mates and warding off rivals. So peacocks have evolved to look extra fabulous to be more successful at both. But exactly what makes them so shimmery? We asked experts to break down the science behind these stunning birds. When you see an object that reflects light, like a peacock's shimmering back or a beetle's shiny wing, you're seeing the effects of something called structural coloration. Structural coloration happens when the microscopic structure of an object's surface interacts with light waves in a particular way. According to a 2018 study in the journal Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Society B, the secret to peacocks' shimmering blue and green backs is guanine, a molecule found in many animal cells. When guanine crystals form in the feather, they create a multi-layer structure that interferes with light waves. Basically, as light enters the feather, it bounces between the layers of guanine. If the layers are spaced just right, the light waves interfere constructively, meaning they add together and make a bigger wave. That bigger wave is what we see as the shimmery color. The spacing of the guanine layers also filters out certain wavelengths of light, leaving only blues and greens to be reflected. Structural coloration can also create what's known as iridescence. Iridescence is the ability of an object to display different colors depending on the angle of the light. Take a soap bubble, for instance. Bubbles have thin films of liquid with a layer of air underneath. When light hits the bubble, some gets reflected off the air-liquid boundary, and some passes through the film and gets reflected off the outer surface. If the film is thin enough, the light waves interfere, either constructively or destructively, depending on the wavelength. Constructive interference creates what we know as iridescence. So the reason bubbles look like rainbows is because of the thin film of soap acting like a very thin layer of guanine in a peacock feather. And the reason peacocks have such a dazzling display of colors on their feathers is because of melanin, which is also responsible for giving our skin its color. According to a 2017 paper published in the journal Nature, peacocks and other birds use melanin to create two types of color: structural and what's called pigmented. Pigmented colors come from melanin granules in the feather. The granules either absorb certain wavelengths of light and reflect others, or they act as tiny mirrors that simply reflect the light that hits them. Structural colors, on the other hand, come from the arrangement of the feather's barbules, the tiny interlocking structures that give feathers their strength and flexibility. When light hits the barbules, it diffracts, bending as it moves from one structure to another. Depending on the spacing between barbules, certain wavelengths of light get canceled out. Since melanin also affects the way barbules grow, the spacing between them, and thus how they interact with light, it's able to influence the structural color of a feather too. So peacocks can use melanin to control both the shade of their feathers and how they shimmer. But why do peacocks need all these fancy colors? Well, according to a 2020 paper published in the journal PLOS ONE, the main purpose of a peacock's flashy feathers is to attract a mate. In peacocks, the brighter and more iridescent the male, the more successful he is at reproducing. A 2014 study published in the journal Animal Behavior found that females prefer males with bright, iridescent plumage. On average, males that displayed brighter colors sired more chicks than males with duller colors. This might seem surprising, since peacocks live in habitats with lots of vegetation that can block light and make it hard for those iridescent colors to show up. But it looks like the brightness of a peacock's feathers is actually more important to females than their iridescence. The color display isn't just for attracting a mate, though. Peacocks also use their feathers to communicate with each other. Specifically, they use them to establish dominance in groups, according to a 2018 study published in the journal PLOS ONE. The size and coloration of a peacock's train feathers, the long tail feathers that are especially showy, are key to establishing dominance. In groups of peacocks, fights over dominance can get pretty fierce. Peacocks have been known to kill each other's chicks to assert dominance. So being able to establish dominance quickly without having to resort to violence is key. And it looks like the size and color of their train feathers might be part of that solution. Dominant peacocks have larger trains with more melanin, making them darker. They also have more iridescence in their feathers, thanks to the spacing of those guanine molecules. Subordinate peacocks, on the other hand, have smaller, paler trains with less iridescence. So it looks like it's the subtle shades and not so subtle shades that help peacocks peacock. Now you know. Hit the like button if you learned something new today, and share this video with a friend. If they need a little science in their life, all the sources used are added in the description below. Thanks for watching.